Hello, and a very warm welcome for Lunchtime News here on KBC Channel 1. And we're coming to you live from the Broadcasting House in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. My name is Giverson, Maina. Our sign language interpreter is Susan Thuku. Join us for the next 1 hour or so for news within and, of course, across the country, including matters sports. And so start interacting with us on the social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. And mine is at Giverson, Maina. And now straight away to Isiolo County, where the main suspect in last month's brutal killing of a 19-year-old whose body was doused in petrol and set ablaze before being thrown into a pit latrine in Merti, Isiolo County, has been arraigned before the Isiolo law courts over the offense. Now, Ibrahim Arero Malicha is accused of being the mastermind of the deadly attack on Nasibo Tadicha. Now, Malicha had been detained for a fortnight to allow police to conclude investigations, but could not take a plea on Thursday after the prosecution team applied for a mental assessment. Senior Resident Magistrate Maureen Odhiambo directed that the assessment be done and a report filed by August 20th, when the court will give further directions, including a date for plea taking. The accused will, in the meantime, be remanded at the Isiolo GK prison.
Before plea is taken, a mental assessment is therefore to be done and a report to be filed. Mr. Abdullahi Advocate is appointed to represent the accused person in this matter.
I kindly request for the support as much as concern from gender-based national government to support the facilitation to transport my witness and give them enough security to stand solidarity with my issue.
Na kesi kama hii tena isiwahi rudia hapa tena, kwa sababu kama hatua mzuri haijachukuliwa, haki haiwezi patikana. Kama haki itapatikana, mwenye anafanya matendo kama haya lazima awe mafunzo kwa wale ambao waliobaki.
Now, to matters politics now, Public Service Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Ruku has told DP party leader Justin Muturi, Peter Munyo of PNU, and Peter Munyo of PNU and Lenny Kivuti of DP to ditch the opposition and instead join Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki in consolidating the Mount Kenya East vote ahead of the 2027 general election. Now, this after the apparent fallout with the former DP Rigathi Gachagua over claims that he was pushing for the dissolution of their parties and join DCP. Speaking during a public meeting in the Tharaka Nithi County, Ruku said the three leaders should seize the opportunity to chart a new political direction ahead of next year's general polls.
Wewe Njembi Muturi, wewe Munya, wewe Rene Kevuti, kunja pande ya Mount Kenya East tufanye kazi pamoja. Kunja mkae chini na Professor Kithure Kindiki. Professor Kithure Kindiki hako tayari, he is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, na yuko tayari kufanya kazi na nyinyi. Wacheni kuenda kwa kona ya utapeli.
Ruku said the three leaders remain influential in Mount Kenya East and should unite behind Deputy President Kithure Kindiki to strengthen the region's political voice and bargaining power.
Ukitaka kukaa kwa opposition miaka 200, mukae. Lakini madharau ya kudunisha Profesa Kithure Kindiki, madharau ya kudharau Profesa Kithure Kindiki, ni sisi munadharau, sio Profesa Kithure Kindiki munadharau.
Kuna watu waliungana wakatupiga sana. Mmoja wao alikuwa Peter Munya, wa pili alikuwa Lenny Kivuti, tunaelewana, watatu alikuwa Matiang'i. Walikuwa wengi, wakaungana wakatupiga, wakasema wabunge mmekosea sana, Gachagua angefukuzwa. Nimeona Matiang'i njuu ya gari ya Kiria, nimeona Munya nimewaona Kivuti wamefanya press conference kubwa.
Hawaheshimu, anawatusi, anawadhalalisha, anawadharau. Mimi niliwaambia hapo awali, yule mtu ni mtu wa madharau. Yule ni mtu ambaye hamwezi fanya kazi na yeye.
Meanwhile, Kibwezi West lawmaker Mwengu Mutuse has called for political tolerance. This after Makueni Wiper-nominated MCA Albanas Kana was arrested by DCI detectives over alleged incitement remarks.
Kenya is a multi-party democracy. Tuseme kwamba kila Mkenya ana haki ya kukampeni sehemu yoyote ya nchi. Kila Mkenya ana haki ya kuwa kwa chama chochote. Tufanye siasa ya kupaswaidi wananchi, tusifanye siasa ya vitisho.
However, Makueni Governor Mutula Kilonzo defended the MCA, alleging that the arrest was politically instigated.
Kaloki, you have one-way ticket to Texas. Ticket yako iko tayari. Ikikushinda tutakulipia. We fear nothing. Wacha waambiwe. Hiyo vitisho yao baridi ni bure.
In Embu County, women leaders have urged the Mount Kenya region to unite behind Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, saying he remains the region's de facto leader and potential successor to President William Ruto.
So sisi tumeamua tutakuwa tunajiunga na vikundi, tutakuwa tunaenda tukiambia watu ukweli kwa ground, na tushikilie our very own. Pia sisi tuone maendeleo ikiwa imeletwa Embu County.
Tumeona tangu aingie, tumeona maendeleo ya barabara. For example, like the Nithi Bridge inaendelea kujengwa. Na in future pia sisi tunaweza taka mtoto wetu akuwe the president of Kenya ili maendeleo iendelee kila mahali.
Tumemulea kama sisi wazazi wake. Na yeye ndio atushikilie na ndio tuweze kusimama vizuri. Na ndio Embu ipate maendeleo.
In Mandera County, a committee exploring a possible 2027 presidential bid by Busia Senator Okiya Mtata met a section of residents to collect public views on whether he should contest for the country's highest office.
Health facility, we are poor on that, because whenever we visit for health facility, we are being told that a certain medical or a certain prescription is not yet available at the hospital. You are being told to go to the pharmacy to look for that, and then you have to pay for it.
Medical is a big issue. The mothers in Mandera say to give birth they have to pay around 5,000 shillings, which used to be free sometimes back.
The consultative forum will also identify key issues they want addressed by future national leadership. Now, the Ministry of Energy has written to the World Bank to extend the contract period for completion of solar projects in 14 underserved counties. Now, appearing before the National Assembly Energy Committee, Principal Secretary Alex Oshiro said that the one-year extension will allow the ministry to complete the projects he described as life-changing to communities that are far-flung from the main electricity grid. The 7.2 billion shillings World Bank-backed project has encountered logistical headwinds, including difficulties in land acquisition, long procurement procedures, and underperformance by the contractor.
He is responsible for implementing the core component 1, that is solar mini-grids for community facilities, enterprises, and households, and EA, that is a standalone solar PV system, and that is components KPLC. There are honorable members. KPLC is constructing that 82 mini-grids and 294 standalone solar systems under component 1 and BA respectively. The specific components under projects in clean power component 1, mini-grids and facilities. The component entails construction of 82 mini-grids that will connect approximately 6,508 households and 500 enterprises and 180 public facilities. This component chair and honorable members, in order to cover the 10 counties, it has been divided into several lots. And lot number 1, chair, and awarded to different contractors. Lot number 1 involves construction of 11 solar mini-grids and battery energy storage in Mandera County, covering Banisa, Mandera North, Lafay, and Mandera East.
Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has lauded the Special Operations Group SOG for its role in enhancing national security, saying the elite multi-agency unit has significantly reduced banditry and terrorism in the Kerio Valley and other parts of the country. He spoke during the graduation of 122 officers at the Kamanga training camp in Samburu County. The elite multi-agency unit is mandated to respond to high-risk security threats, including terrorism, banditry and organized crime. He said security agencies have seized more than 2,000 illegal firearms and 1,500 rounds of ammunition from bandits and terrorist groups, including the ongoing operations. Murkomen urged the newly graduated officers to uphold integrity, professionalism and discipline as they undertake the specialized operations to safeguard the country against emerging security threats.
Thanks to you that once again women and children are living in their houses and their homes in most parts of Kerio Valley. In the past, they were hiding places for criminals, but now they know that SOG can be anywhere and anytime and everywhere, and that is really commendable. I'm also happy to note here that as a result of the work you've done at SOG, you can see those firearms, about 2,000 of them that were returned with 15,000 ammunitions that were also recovered. Some of them after just small operation by yourselves. The rest is that some of those criminals just walked in to surrender because of fear of SOG.
Now to the corridors of justice. The High Court has ruled that the general elections should be held in August 2026. Now, in a ruling delivered by Judge Mugore Dande of the Malindi High Court, the court made a declaration that holding the next year presidential election on any date other than the second Tuesday in August 2026 will violate and contravene the Constitution, as the elections should be held on the second Tuesday of August of every fifth year. Now, the judge has, however, suspended the implementation of the decision to avoid a potential chaos and disruption of the country's stability until the next election. She ruled on a petition filed by 3 petitioners, namely Dr. Owiso, Kilef Halifa, and Ashioya Biko, who sought a declaration that Article 136(2)A of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 mandates that presidential elections are held on the second Tuesday of August of every year. Of every fifth year, rather. Now, the presidential term to Les, or rather, he appeared to vary the presidential term to less than 5 years. Now let's switch gears to matters health now. The Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, KUCO, is urging the Council of Governors to establish an authority to handle the interests of the health workers, faulting the county executives for failing to address their grievances, leading to numerous strikes. Now, speaking in Kilifi County, the union chairperson Peterson Washira said the authority will be mandated with hiring and payment of salaries to the workers. The union insists it will continue with its nationwide strike until universal health coverage staff are issued with permanent and pensionable terms letters, as well as the payment of their 6 years gratuity.
Kazini kama hajaweza kutekelezwa, la kwanza likiwa lazima tuone ile hela ambayo tuliweza kukubaliana ya nyongeza ya health risk allowance imeingia katika payslip, na lazima pia tuone zile hela ambazo walifaa kulipa kwa ile SRC agreement kwa zile areas za health risk allowance za mwaka uliopita. Tunasema wafanyikazi wa afya peke yake waweze kuondolewa katika serikali za ugatuzi na wawekwe katika mamlaka ambayo itaweza kuwasimamia kama vile TSC na nyingine.
Kwa upande wa serikali ni kama bado wanaendelea kutuahidi tofauti na ile nia ambayo tulikuwa nayo, ambao walikuwa ni watimize matakwa yetu tukaweze kurudi kazini.
Now to Samburu County now. Residents of Yare and Muramur villages in Samburu County have protested what they claim to be interference by a section of leaders in the land subdivision and allocation process. Now the residents who blocked the Maralal Muruti road say the court ruled that all 273 members residing in the villages should be allocated half an acre each, but their efforts to violate the order. They further accuse the leaders of nepotism, saying they have included some of their family members as beneficiaries contrary to the established procedure.
Kuna wakati hiyo shamba ilikuwa inaomba 2018 na ule governor mwenye alienda. Hiyo shamba walikuwa wamesema wale watu wanaishi huko ni watu zaidi ya watu 2,000. Saa hii ile register ambayo wale wakora wamebeba ambayo wanajiita group rank officials cartels. Tumesema hatutaki cartels. Unakuta mtu yeye ameandika watoto yake wote kwa register.
Tumeenda mpaka kotini. Kotini imeweza kutupea nusu eka kila mtu. Kwa hiyo listi yetu ambayo ya watu 238. Lakini ile kitu inatuchangaza tangu tutoke kotini siku hiyo. Hatukiketi hata siku moja na wenzetu ambao wanajiita registered members kujadili namna ya subdivision.
Now, the Ugiek community in the Eastern Mau block is rejecting a planned launch of boundary demarcations and subsequent title deeds allocation. Representatives of the community claim state officials are ignoring high-profile African court rulings designated to protect ancestral lands and using hand-picked communities to forcefully partition their ancestral territories. They claim subdividing the land will destroy their cultural framework.
Kuna wengine walikuja wakafanya mikutano wakasema ati survey wanakuja bila kuhusishwa jamii, bila kukonsultiwa jamii, na hiyo kitu hatuwezi bali kama community.
Kabla ya kuimplement kesi ya juzi, kwanza wa implement kesi zilizotangulia. Na jambo la pili wajue ya kwamba hii kesi wanataka kuimplement already iko katika koti ya rufaa.
Brokers wenye anakuja kubroki mashamba yetu tunakataa katika jina la Yesu. Hii shamba imetuletea shida sana.
Now, still matters land in Machakos County now. At least 40 families residing in Mlolongo, Phase 4 in Machakos County, say they are living in fear of being forcefully evicted from their homes. Now, the families claim some individuals have irregularly acquired title deeds belonging to their land, which they are now using to evict them despite a court order barring intruders. They claim a perimeter wall is currently erected in 1 acre of land under heavy police presence, fencing in at least 8 homes. However, Mlolongo East Sub-County Police Commander Anderson Bae is urging the families to lodge a formal complaint with police and produce their land ownership documents for verification.
Tumesumbuliwa muda mrefu sana, almost 10 years ago. Na wale wenye wanatusumbua hapa ni watu wale tunajua wanaitwa grappers. They have come with fake titles for many years. Na hizo fake titles ni wale watu wenye walikufa kitambo.
Mimi nimekaa Mlinge kwa miaka mingi sana. Nimelelewa hapa, wazazi wangu niliwapata hapa. Na hii shamba yenye wanakuja kunyakua ni tumeinherit kwa wazazi wetu.
Askari wamekuja kutumika vibaya hapa kwa sababu wanakuja na wale mabwenyenye kuja kunyakua hili shamba. Na hili shamba tulinunua.
Now that story from Mlolongo takes us to a very short commercial break. Don't go too far, there's still so much more coming our way.
All right, listen up. Politics is on a mission.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate Science for healthy gums and strong teeth.
Colgate Charcoal Gentle Clean cleans and polishes teeth for a whiter smile and a naturally fresh and clean mouth. Choose natural. Choose Colgate Charcoal.
Are you thinking about your future? Saving through a registered retirement benefit scheme allows you to save up to 30,000 shillings every month tax-free, and investment income from the scheme is completely tax-exempt. Withdrawals of retirement benefits are tax-exempt for retirees who reach retirement age as specified in scheme rules, retire early on grounds of ill health, or have been members of a scheme for at least 20 years. This tax exemption also applies in payment of retirement annuity and gratuity. Further, contributions you make to post-retirement medical funds are now tax-deductible up to 15,000 shillings per month. Join a registered pension plan today. Reduce your tax burden and enjoy your retirement to the fullest. For more information, visit our website at www.rba.go.ke, call our toll-free line 0800-720-300 or email info@rba.go.ke. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
Team. It's a very scenario here with 1-1. That's a great ball. Picked up here by Doris Bourdois. Gets the ball across. Great goal. Look at that. And a fabulous finish. And Evelyn Badu getting a second. Outstanding. Doris Bourdois is working her magic down the right-hand side. Let's just have a look at this once again. Well, take a closer look, I'm sure, but Kusi gets the ball down there to Bourdois. It's an easy finish, it really is, for Evelyn Badu. And the Montreal Roses forward with the perfect first touch, side-footing the ball in.
Pata makao na boma yangu.
And now welcome back. You're watching Lunchtime News on KBC Channel 1. And now let's take you to Migori County, where residents of Nyatike constituency, Migori County, have expressed optimism that the economic fortunes of the area will look up once infrastructure projects are being implemented by the national government are complete. Now, among the flagship projects are the completion of the Masara-Sori Road and the Masara-Muhuru Road, which will link the Lake Victoria region to major trading centers within and outside Migori County. Now, the fisherfolk, local boda operators and small-scale transporters say the projects, including the construction of modern markets and the upgrading of key road networks, will improve trade, transportation and access to essential services in the area.
Tutakuwa sawa juu watu wa samaki wakienda through, sisi hata si wa bodaboda tuna benefit juu kuna wenye wanatoka hapa kutoka huko, mambo ya transport inakuwa mingi sana.
Hii barabara ikiisha, watu wa biashara wa Sori watasikia vizuri sana, kwa sababu hii mambo ya kufanya biashara itakuwa vizuri.
Now, in the wake of climate change, limited farming space and unreliable water supply, farmers in Isiolo County have turned to embracing simple and affordable climate-smart agriculture technologies that enable households to grow food even in small spaces. Now, agricultural experts say that using this method, farmers can use organic manure mixed with soil and plant vegetables in locally available containers, including plastic containers and old vehicle tires. The approach not only helps households maximize limited spaces, but can also contribute to environmental conservation by putting discarded materials such as old tires to productive use instead of allowing them to accumulate in the environment or clog drainage systems.
Hapa tuko na shamba gorofa ambayo tunaita corn garden na inatumia space kidogo sana. Kwa hivyo hata kama uko na space yako kidogo nyumbani, haupaswi kuwa na shida ya mboga. Unaweza tumia shamba kama hii, ama pia kuna shamba gunia ama shade net, unatumia ile neti unatengeneza shamba yako.
Tunataka kusaidiana na wakulima ili tuweze provide climate smart agriculture na modern technologies za kulima, kwa sababu watu wengi hapa Isiolo hawako makwao sana, ni si plot kubwa kubwa. Kwa hivyo mtu anaweza fanya kitchen gardening, na tuko na hizo systems ambazo ziko za kusaidia watu kufanya ukulima nyumbani kwao.
Tulikuwa tunaendea nyanya Narok, Embu na Nyeri, na nimeshukuru sababu nimeona hata transport imekuwa kidogo.
From Isiolo, we cross over to Kwale County, where a young man from Ngombeni, Kwale County, has turned to agriculture as a sensitization tool to combat drug abuse, crime, unemployment, and hunger among young people in the area. The 29-year-old Hamisi Magisu has used the venture to recruit local unemployed who he says would have otherwise been lost to social. Also argues, or rather urges the community to adopt irrigation farming for food security, noting that if remains viable despite climate change.
Sasa niko na takriban wakulima 5 ambao wanafanya ukulima wa tomato pamoja na hizo green vegetables. Na hiyo ni faraja kwangu kwa sababu kama kijana, ninapoona kijana mwenzangu anajihusisha na kitu ambacho ni kizuri, kinasaidia jamii, wanafurahi sana. Mafunzo ya ukulima hususan climate smart agriculture huwa nayapenda sana. Ndio maana nikaweka hapa nyumbani katikati ya kijiji ili nao vijana wenzangu wapitie kwa kuona kile ambacho wanafanya, wasome kwa kuona. Kwa sababu naamini mtu akisoma kwa kuona huwa atalitilia maanani zaidi hili jambo.
Now, the push to enhance the country's food security has received a boost following the launch of a model climate-smart agricultural farm in Nairobi. The model farm that uses drip irrigation will be used to demonstrate model climate-smart farming in the wake of changing climate patterns that have hampered traditional farming methods. Our reporter Joseph Wahungu has the details on the shift to smart farming.
Senior government officials, faith-based organizations and development partners converged in Nairobi for the unveiling of a model agricultural farm equipped to ensure food production regardless of climatic conditions.
Of very importance to us because we have seen young men, boys and girls from school, from colleges, they embrace this farming.
Speaking during the event, Secretary to the Cabinet Mercy Wanjau said agriculture remains one of the government's flagship priorities, and the model farm demonstrates practical solutions that can be replicated.
A nation without food security is highly endangered. Climate crisis is here with us. We know that there is a super El Nino coming. We know that generally climate will continue to ravage and to be a situation. So the question is, what must we do? What must we do? We must join hands and co-create.
At the same time, Israel's ambassador to Kenya, Gideon Behar, said climate change is a present-day reality that requires practical interventions, among them irrigation.
Drip irrigation, the beauty thing about it is it can be applied for small farmers. And this is the backbone of Kenya's farming. Small farmers, there are millions of them here. And the challenge is to bring drip irrigation into farming in Kenya.
Meanwhile, Nairobi Catholic Archbishop Philip Anyolo urged investments in knowledge and innovation to balance periods of floods and drought as communities adapt to changing weather patterns.
In Kenya sometimes and many other countries, semi-arid countries, there's a lot of rain that comes and clears us off. And then when the rains have come and they have gone, there comes a drought and then it clears us off. What we need to do to bring the balance, to strike the stability, the balance. So.
Now let's take you to Vihiga County, where the Witness Protection Agency is calling for greater public support in the fight against sexual and gender-based violence in Vihiga County. Now, cases of rape, incest and defilement have continued to rise, placing the county among those with highest reported cases in the country. The agency says building public confidence and reporting abuse and protecting witnesses is key to ensuring justice for survivors. Director Witness Agency Director with a protection agency Jedida Waruhi says the agency is working through 57 court cases, court user committees across the Western region to encourage more survivors and witnesses to come forward while promoting community action against sexual and gender-based violence.
Very young children are being violated, and it is not good for the community, it is not good for country. We need to build the confidence in terms of people reporting, especially SGBV cases on issues incest and issues defilement. And also we also need to interrogate what is the root cause, what is the trigger of that, because it cannot continue that way.
Now, Siaya Governor James Orengo has suffered a setback after the County Assembly rejected 2 of his cabinet nominees, saying their reappointment contravened the County Assembly Approval Act. The Assembly's Appointments Committee ruled that the governor failed to comply with the law by resubmitting nominees who had previously been rejected. These and other stories in the County News Roundup.
The committee, chaired by Speaker George Okode, declined to vet finance nominee George Nyingiro and education nominee Grace Agola, maintaining that the governor had not demonstrated any new circumstances to justify their reconsideration for the positions.
During this nomination, the appointing authority did not provide information that fulfills the requirements spelled out under that provision.
Separately, Safina party leaders at the coast have opposed the proposed election laws amendment bill, saying the move to remove mandatory live transmission of election results would undermine electoral transparency.
Ni heri vitu viwe wazi, vionekane na watu waelewe, watu watakuwa na imani. Lakini vitu vikifunikwa watu wasione na wasielewe, hatutaelewa. Hiyo itakuwa ni kama kuiba.
And communities in Tharaka Nithi are being sensitized on exclusive breastfeeding as part of activities marking World Breastfeeding Week.
Kunyonyesha mtoto for 6 months, hakunanga shida yote, huwezi usikia mtoto anaoma, huwezi kuwa unasikia mtoto ako na shida ya tumbo.
Elsewhere, women human rights defenders in Mombasa have condemned rising deaths in police custody and alleged enforced disappearances, calling for justice and police reforms.
Leo hii kijana akichukuliwa akipelekwa kule ama mtu yoyote, the next thing we are hearing ni kwamba amefariki ama amepigwa baadaye ana succumb to death. We are not happy, we are not pleased.
Meanwhile, thousands of residents in Ruiru are said to benefit from a newly opened Huduma Center that will bring government services closer to the public.
Tumefurahi sana kuletewa Huduma Center Ruiru. Tumepata birth certificate siku ya leo na tumefurahi sana. Kitambo tulikuwa tunaenda Thika, sasa imetukaribia iko Ruiru.
Finally, parents have been urged to use the August school holiday to actively support learners under the competency-based education curriculum.
CBE ndio inahitaji wazazi kuwepo. Tunasema hands on. Lazima uwe na mtoto karibu, lazima wakati mwingine umsaidie kushughulikia ile kazi ambayo amepewa nyumbani, na lazima ununue vifaa ambavyo vinahitajika shuleni.
Now, millers will now purchase wheat from farmers at 5,100 shillings for a 90-kilogram bag. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the new price is meant to boost wheat production after more farmers opted to grow barley due to its high value and demand. The switch is forcing Kenya to spend more on wheat imports. Now, Kenya spends more than 40 billion Kenyan shillings annually importing the commodity from Russia, Ukraine, and even Egypt. Take a look.
Wheat production continues to drop in the country due to failing acreage under wheat farming in Laikipia, Nakuru, Meru and Narok counties. Kenya consumes about 2.2 million metric tons of wheat, with the country producing about 15% of the total demand. To boost production and encourage wheat farming, the government has raised the wheat price to 5,100 per 90-kilogram bag for the current season, up from 4,750 last year. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the agreed price will apply at designated aggregation centers where the government has commenced mopping up wheat from farmers ahead of any wheat importation to protect local farmers from cheap imports. Approximately 1 million 90-kilogram bags are expected this season compared to about 1.7 million bags harvested last year. The reduction, the government says, is due to farmers opting to cultivate barley due to its high price of 5,300 shillings per 90 kg bag and adverse weather patterns. To increase wheat production and reduce imports that hit 42 billion shillings last year, after Kenya imported 2.31 tons of wheat in 2025, the government says it will increase the provision of subsidized fertilizer to small-scale wheat farmers. Plans are also underway to increase research and dissemination of high-yielding and climate-resilient wheat varieties through Kenya Agricultural Livestock Research Organization and private seed companies. The government will also commercialize idle government land in wheat-growing regions, particularly Laikipia, and expand mechanization, strengthening control of destructive queller birds. Benson Rioba, reporting for Lunchtime News.
And away from that, the Northern Corridor Transit and Transport Coordination Authority has secured cash to support green energy transition within the trade route. The authority's Executive Secretary, Dr. John Deng, says the funding from the United Nations Environment Programme will ring-fence the strategy to help the corridor achieve net zero status by 2050.
According to the United Nations Environment Programme, transport sector globally depends on fossil fuels, accounting for 95% of its energy needs. In a bid to accelerate green transition along the Northern Corridor, the Northern Corridor Transit and Transport Coordination Authority says that 26 million shillings from the United Nations Environment Programme will help support accelerate transition to green energy.
And as we speak currently, we have about 2,000 to 3,000 trucks on our roads every day. They're emitting carbons into our air, and therefore, in collaboration with UNEP in 2016, we thought of establishing a green trade program that will look at how to curb the emission of green gas houses.
Dr. Deng says the funding will transform freight transport subsector in the region into electric vehicle, beginning with adoption of electric solutions at the port of Mombasa.
Ports, by definition, are very pollutive. Ships, trucks, cranes, and all the operations are based on fossil fuels, on diesel fuels. But ports also have a golden opportunity, because those trucks are not driving 200 kilometers, they're driving inside the port. Those equipments are not leaving the port, they're inside the port. And so you have what we call a captured fleet. And so we can start looking as a first opportunity for freight and heavy duty to electrify these types of operations that are very controlled.
Through the funding, Northern Corridor Transit and Transport Coordination Authority will also update the Northern Corridor Freight Emission Accounting Framework, helping the region to collect GHG emission data along the northern corridor routes in Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda.
The 2030 strategy is looking at zero emission by 2050. And so we are projecting 10% reduction every year. And of course, as we improve our tools of data collection and also impact on the transport shift from hydrocarbon-driven transport to electric vehicle, we hope the amount of emissions is going to reduce as also we continue to intervene.
Additionally, the funding will help promote gender inclusivity within Green Freight Transport Program as the authority targets to increase and improve women participation and reduce emissions along the corridor.
Now, over 25,000 homesteads will be connected to the national grid in Siaya County under 2.2 billion shillings last mile connectivity program. The project, being funded by the National Treasury, aims to boost electricity coverage in the expansive county to above 50%. Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi says the government plans to connect more homesteads in the next financial year.
Rural electrification coverage in Siaya County has been historically low, with less than 50% of all households living outside the national grid. However, in the last 3 years, the government has been ramping up investments in power system in the county in a bid to grow the numbers.
Siaya County was, in fact, for a matter of fact, less than 20% in rural electrification coverage. But right now, we are climbing above average. We are past 50%. In rural electrification, and that is a jump of almost 30%, more than 30%, in fact close to 40% in less than 2 years.
Energy and Petroleum Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi says the government is committed to ensuring all parts of the county are connected to the grid. So far, the government has spent more than 3 billion shillings to connect households in the expansive county. Wandayi says the government will spend 2.2 billion shillings to connect 2,500 households to the power grid, with further funding expected in upcoming budget cycles. Residents across the county have welcomed the last mile connectivity program, saying the initiative has reduced cases of insecurity, spurred businesses, while accelerating developments in the region.
Hii stima imebadilisha maisha yetu kwa sababu kitambo tulikuwa tuna mtoto unaweza wacha hata taa kwa nyumba usikie tu hata imechomeka.
Hapo nyuma hapa Imbaya tulikuwa na giza. Hata watoto wa shule wakienda shuleni asubuhi walikuwa nabakwa na wakora. Hata ng'ombe walikuwa naiba saa 2 saa 3 wanaimba ng'ombe. Ukijaribu kufuata uwezi ona kwa sababu kijiji ni giza tupu.
Kwa serikali kulingana venye ametuletea stima, mimi nimeshukuru sana. Sasa nimepanga tu kununua mashini ya kushiaga niweke pale nitumie nisaidie naye wananchi.
Now, United States President Donald Trump has signed an executive order imposing minimum import prices and a 15% tariff on polysilicon products, the key raw material used in solar panels and semiconductors. The move is intended to help protect U.S. manufacturers as they face increasing competition from China's chip industry, a key source of friction between the world's two largest economies. Yeah, the details of these and other stories making headlines across the globe.
Set minimum import prices at $21 per kilogram for polysilicon and $100 per kilogram for polysilicon ingots and wafers, taking effect December 4th. The Chinese embassy in Washington said the move seriously disrupts trade between the two countries, and Beijing will act to protect its companies. The Chinese embassy says that protectionism will not make the U.S. more competitive. Trump said in the order that he had accepted recommendations by the Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, to set minimum import prices as well as a 15% tariff on polysilicon and related imports. The U.S. will also offer incentive to boost domestic production. Meanwhile, Europe's heat wave is turning into a growing economic problem. Hungary hit 41.8 degrees Celsius, breaking a 121-year national record as the region's summer heat strains power grids, disrupts freight on the Rhine and Danube, and forces some nuclear plants to limit output over river cooling water limits. Germany's economy has taken $36 billion in lost industrial output and agricultural damage this summer, while France, Spain, Hungary, Italy, and Romania have together lost over 9 million tons of grain and crops. The European Central Bank says the summer heat waves cut regional output by roughly 1%, with effects that can deepen over the following 2 years. Finally, crude oil prices extended their gains on Friday as renewed uncertainty over shipping through the Strait of Hormuz fueled concerns about global energy supplies. This is after Yemen's Houthi rebels claimed responsibility for attacks on Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, compounding supply concerns amid lingering uncertainty over the Strait of Hormuz. Brent crude oil futures rose 1% to $83 per barrel, while U.S. Texas Intermediate WTI crude gained around 1%, approaching $78 per barrel in early trading. The latest increase followed a sharp rally on Thursday when both benchmarks climbed $3.04 to $82.49 a barrel on the London ICE Futures Exchange after reports that Iran is considering new restrictions on vessel traffic through the Strait of Hormuz.
And now let's get sporty for a moment. Now I take you to Machakos County, where our very own Mary Wavinya is on standby on matters sports, Kikoso, KBC management. Mary Wavinya, if you can hear me, what's going on down there?
Thank you, Giverson. We are live from the Machakos Golf Club, and we have the 2026 Kikoso Golf Tournament taking part, actually starting tomorrow, but since morning they have been warming up. As you can see behind me, we have one of our own, Shali. If you can see behind me, she's just there. She's going to be taking part, and she has her teammates for now. They've been busy warming up in the morning, but for now we have other organizations also taking part, and the defending champions are Kenya Airports Authority and Kenya Civil Aviation Authority were runners-up, followed by Communications Authority of Kenya, who are the sponsors of this year's golf tournament at Machakos. And today it's been hot and humid. Sometimes it's very cold. When we came here, it was actually very cold at night. But I'm being told by the vice president of Machakos Golf Club that that's a nice weather for golf. And that is Stephen Musioka. He needs to go and play, but he's going to brief us about the course. Stephen, tell me about the course.
Machakos Golf Club is a 9-hole. It's one of the best 9-holes in the country. And currently the course is in prime conditions. We are hosting the league matches, and also we have done a lot of features to improve the player experience. So we expect people to have fun, and may the best team win in this case.
And of course, we are talking about the Kikoso family, where KBC is well represented by a team led by management team. And they're also building a challenging...
It's a water feature. It's a water feature.
Yeah.
It's meant to improve and make the all a bit more difficult, but also it increases the aesthetics of the course.
So it's going to be very interesting, but I have to let Stephen leave because his team is already on course, and I'll be joined by the captain of this year's tournament. Thank you, Stephen. I'm joined by Lewis Mureithi, that is the captain of this year's golf tournament, and he's going to tell us about all the organizations that are going to take part in Kikoso, and he's also the host. They are also the host, Communication Authority of Kenya, who finished third last year, but they tell me they are back for the title. Mureithi, go ahead.
Thank you so much. After months of planning, we are finally here for the Kikoso Golf Tournament. We're excited about the event. Everything is in place. We have the teams ready from 9 institutions, and the draw is full. We are not taking more golfers because unlike previous years, this year the draw is full, and we are excited to host the tournament.
And yeah, there are so many tournaments also going on, but of course Kekoso is a big one, and 9 organizations being represented. That is not a small number. Tell me about them and how you expect them to fare, including KBC.
Okay, thank you. Actually, this we call it the biggest government tournament because we don't have so many government agencies coming together for golf for any other tournament in the Kenya's golf calendar. So this is the biggest tournament. We are having Kenya Civil Aviation Authority who are runners up. They are practicing in the course, hoping to clinch the title from the Kenya Airports Authority. But the team from CA, where I come from, Communications Authority, we are not going to let this happen. We are all set. Our team is here also practicing and ready for tomorrow. For the rest of the agencies, KBC and Kenya Ports Authority, we look forward to some challenging event and we are up to the task. Thank you.
And of course, KBC is up to the task. That is tomorrow when the golf tournament takes part. Remember, this is just the beginning of this year's Kekoso Games, because from the 22nd, that is the last week of this month, we are going to have the main games for 9 days. But for now, let the games begin. Back to you in Broadcasting House.
No, Kekoso Golf Tournament in Machakos County. That is a Kenya Communication Sports Organization, and which bring a sports fraternity from the communication sector ministries, and even parastatal KBC is participating there. Now, Kenya's men's team maintained their unbeaten run at the inaugural Africa Under-18 Hockey's championship after commanding 17-4 victory over Uganda at Sink Union Club in Nairobi. Now, the match got off to a lovely start with both sides displaying confidence and intensity in attack. Kenya edged a competitive first half, taking 4-2 lead into the break after capitalizing on their chances while keeping Uganda under pressure. The second half, however, belonged entirely to the hosts. Now, Kenya raised the tempo, controlled possession, and overwhelmed Uganda with relentless attacking play. Now, Reagan Meshach emerged as the standout performer, combining brilliantly with his teammates as Kenya produced goals to seal a convincing 17-4 victory. The result extends Kenya's unbeaten run in the tournament and books them a place in tomorrow's final, all set to be played at a Sink Union Club in Nairobi. The top 2 teams in both the men's and women's competitions will qualify for the World Cup. The government, through the Ministry of Sports, will support harnessing of talents through the Kenya Academy of Sports to ensure the country sends a formidable team. Sports PS Elijah Mwangi spoke yesterday in Oregon, USA, while attending the ongoing 21st World Athletics Under-20 Championships. He emphasized that all Kenyan medalists in the championships will be rewarded using the new enhanced scheme announced recently by the government for junior athletes, where gold medalists will pocket 2 million Kenyan shillings, 1.5 million for silver medalists, and 1 million Kenyan shillings for those who win bronze.
Whatever we are seeing here, the gold that we won yesterday, the silver that we won both in the 5,000 meters, including our bronze, is a product of sustained development in athletics. My urge to our young athletics is to keep up the discipline, because that's what is required so that we can take this team to Olympics.
The national women soccer team, Harambee Starlets, are expected to arrive at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport JKIA in Nairobi tomorrow morning, following their elimination from the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON. Kenya endured a disappointing campaign, finishing bottom of Group A after suffering defeats to host Morocco, Senegal and Algeria. The tournament marked the Starlets' return to AFCON for the first time since 2016, but they failed to register a point or score a goal in the 3 group stage matches. The team, under head coach Beldino Demba, will now turn its attention to the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games qualifiers. Kenya, who received a first-round bye, will face Seychelles in a two-legged, or rather legged second-round qualifier scheduled for October. And that's where we end our lunchtime news on KBC Channel 1 from the Broadcasting House in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. My name is Giverson Maina. Our sign language interpreter is Susan Thuku. Until next time, it's bye-bye for now.
Tunatambulika kwa mandhari yetu ya kuvutia,
tamaduni zetu, ukarimu wetu, vyakula vyetu, uchapakazi,
na pia kwa sauti tofauti za watangazaji wetu waliobobea.
Dibengo niko hapa aka upcoming sponsor. Bila shaka hapa ni kama PDG, ma deep state pia vile cartels.
Tunaenzi talanta za pwani, tunakuza talanta za hapa kwetu nyumbani.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tuko mjengoni kama kawa na wanangu wengine wawili.
Usikose kutegea 103.1 Pwani FM, station ambayo itakupa fursa ya kupata uhondo kamili wa pwani na kuleta Wakenya pamoja.
Pwani FM, tafrija ya kipwani.
Get ready for a captivating continental football extravaganza. KBC Channel 1 brings you exclusive coverage of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON. From Sunday the 26th of July to Sunday the 16th of August 2026, welcome to Morocco! Morocco is the battleground as Nigeria defend their title against 15 other nations fighting to lift the prestigious trophy. Who will be crowned Queens of African Football? Courtesy of the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports. Watch all the action unraveling on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
The Scorchers of Malawi managed to proceed to the knockout stages in their debut in a dramatic turn of events in the final Group C matches when they fought to the death to overcome Zambia 2-1 to beat them to the last 8 in goals scored in head-to-head games to top the group.
So Zambia in a delicate position but very keen and very confident that they can get the right result against their neighbours. What a clash. This is going to be riveting, and I know that right across these two nations and all supporters of Malawi and Zambia will be watching and hoping that they will get to see their nation go through. Here we go with Zambia getting the ball rolling, playing in green up against the Scorchers, of course, playing in red. Control, allowing the ball to go back to Malawi. They've been the team to look out for. Underdogs is what they've been labelled, and they've been relishing that name indeed. There's the high ball going into the penalty box. Flies, whizzes past the Malawi goalkeeper, Merci Sikelo. Malawi, who have just been growing in stature throughout the last few years, since they won the COSAFA Women's Championship a few years ago. Looking good. Here's Barbara Banda down the left-hand side, keeps the ball in play. Once she cuts inside, puts it on her right foot, goes for a shot. It's gone in. It's gone over the line, surely. And they're celebrating. She couldn't hold it. It had a sting in it. Merci Sikelo, and look at that. Zambia take the lead. Barbara Banda gets her 5th goal in this competition. And we're only 2 minutes into the game. When she cut inside, you just knew that she was going to produce something special. That was the shot, and it's just